So welcome to our audience. Please take a virtual seat at the Match Table, which is a monthly video series designed to inform the Dutch private sector on circular mobility and the benefits of participating in initiatives such as the Match Project. My name is Maya Mackenzie and I work for the International Organization for Migration in the Netherlands. And together with my colleague Meerte van der Gaas from the Netherlands African Business Council, we are the co-hosts of At the Match Table. During these video series, we'll welcome sought-out experts in the field of circular migration, talent acquisition, diversity, and inclusion to inspire you to consider alternative ways of finding the right, highly skilled talent for your company's needs. So I am ecstatic to be joined today by our guest, Ms. Phyllis Schege from Africa Compt. So welcome to you, Phyllis. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Maya. I'm delighted to be here and to be part of this very interesting conversation that we are going to have.
Me too. The honor is all mine. So in this installment, we're talking about the potential of Africa. And I think you are a brilliant guest to be speaking about this because you yourself have a background coming from Kenya in marketing, and you have been a fellow in the Africa Compt program, and now you work as an advisor within the program. So I think you have sufficient background from both the German and, of course, the African perspective. So should we kick off? Let me allow you to introduce yourself and to talk a bit more about your work at Africa Compt.
Okay. Yes. So as you've said, my name is Phyllis Schege. I come from Kenya. I'm a Kenyan citizen, and I'm currently working with the Deutsche Gesellschaft for Internationale Zusammenarbeit. Very long German word, but otherwise known as the GIZ. And I am based in the office in Düsseldorf, working for the program Africa Compt. And I will talk about this in a minute. But just a bit of my background. I was born and bred and educated in Nairobi, Kenya. And I've also worked in Kenya for many years, as well as I have worked in South Africa. And so when I got the opportunity as well to expand my international experience, I joined this program called Africa Compt. And through this program, then I moved to Germany and joined the Volkswagen Group for a period of 8 months, where I was able to do a fellowship program in their marketing, sales and marketing department. So Africa Compt, I've tried to explain it a little bit there, is a program of the German industry for young, motivated, highly skilled, and passionate African young professionals. And so what the program does is it connects these young professionals from Africa to German companies for the purpose of mutual learning. And through the program, the fellows, as we call them, come into these companies and are able to bring their experience and their expertise and their knowledge of the African market to the table, while at the same time learning the German ways of doing business and learning from, of course, the German experience and the German corporate sector, and thus also advancing and enhancing their skills. So it's a mutually beneficial program where both sides bring something to the table and both sides also take something from the table.
Fantastic. And considering yourself as a previous fellow and now in your role as advisor, you must be very well aware of the potential of the African talent pool. But for some of the Dutch companies that are less familiar with the education system and the background of African job seekers, could you give some information about the value of the African talent pool and perhaps have some examples of some fellows that are now working in Germany?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that, of course, we know that the African population is very young. more than 50% of the African population is under the age of 35. And now you see that, of course, the education systems in Africa have developed, and we have a lot of very highly educated and highly experienced professionals and talents from Africa. So we do, for example, a call up for applications once a year, and we get between 6,000 and 9,000 applications, most of them very highly qualified. In fact, the problem that we have is we have more highly qualified professionals applying than we have positions for. And so really the talent is there, the skill level is there, and many times the participating companies during the course of our assessment center, which we hold once a year, spontaneously decide to take more candidates because then they cannot decide, they cannot choose who it is that they want to have on board. And we see the fruit of this, and we have very many success stories where this talent, after the 1 year in Germany, have found positions within the German companies and have grown even to director level leadership over the years. So we have a number of fellows that are directors within German multinational companies just after a few short years of being in the companies. We also have examples of fellows who have brought a lot of innovation and growth in the company. One example that I like of a fellow who works for pharmaceutical, a German pharmaceutical, who recently won not one, but two innovation awards, two company innovation awards. And you can imagine the size of these companies where they have thousands of applications, and yet a young African fellow from some West African company that many people would, some West African country that many people would struggle to point out on a map, comes in and swoops these awards. That are very high level and adjudicated at a very high level. And so we have many such examples of such successes, and not just within Germany, but also these fellows go back to Africa. Many of them work for subsidiaries of the companies in Africa. They open offices for them. They grow their businesses for these companies, and some of them also set up their own businesses from the learnings that they pick while in Germany, and create employment, and of course contribute to the growth and development of their own countries. And so it's really mutually beneficial, and we have so many positive outcomes and so many great success stories to tell. I would need a whole other session to just talk about success stories alone of Africans.
I can imagine that's such an asset to the German company to have that hybrid of knowledge, both the German experience, but also being so familiar with their context in Africa.
Yeah, and this is exactly I think the value of it. And I mean, for a long time, it used to be said that German companies struggle to set up or to succeed in Africa. But I believe this is one of the models that has helped some of the German companies that have been part of the program to actually, after some years of not being able to be successful, to succeed. And so this just ability to have somebody who understands both sides cannot be it cannot be overstated. It's really a high value thing to have.
Yeah, like the missing link for growth.
Is the missing link, exactly. Is the missing link for many companies.
And we're all very much aware of the aging population in Europe, but also we're becoming aware of these big companies that are establishing a base in Africa and are recognizing the potential. Just recently, Microsoft invested in Africa to develop 5 million Nigerian jobs in the ICT sector. That's huge. So what could you say, taking a step back from Africa Comms, but broadly in terms of partnerships between the EU and Africa and scope for development and growth there?
You've said it correctly. Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this in terms of the age demographics in the African population compared to the European population. And I think they say as well, in the next 20 or so years, Africa will be supplying majority of the working age population globally. And so for me, I see a huge potential that companies can begin to tap into right now. And like I said, I mean, the approach for me, of course, is not a one-way approach, but a mutual approach. Where the companies, of course, invest as well in the talent, but then, you know, they get in return, of course, the contribution of this intelligence and of this skill and of this high potential. And so I see a huge potential there. In Nigeria, of course, one of the biggest and most popular countries in Africa, but across, the same is happening across Africa. If you look at Ghana, if you look at Kenya, if you look at Zimbabwe, where 90% of the population is literate, and the majority of those who have gone to higher education actually have up to a master's level degree. And so across Africa, the potential is there, and yeah, companies have the opportunity to be able to establish these relationships that will be mutually beneficial.
Wow. And so where can our audience get more information about Africa Compt if they want to learn more?
You can get more information on our website. That's africa-compt.de. And of course, we are active as well on LinkedIn with just the name Africa Compt, and on other social media platforms with the same name.
Thank you so much, Phyllis, for joining us today in this installment of At the Match Table. It's been super interesting. And like you say, it's a conversation that I think we could go on for many hours. We really appreciate you joining us. And thank you to the audience for joining. I hope you found this interesting. We'll make sure there's information about Africa Compt for your further follow-up. And as mentioned at the beginning, the Match project aims to address labour market shortages in 4 EU member states. That's Belgium, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands, where I'm based. So if there are employers in the audience that would like to learn more about recruiting to fill labour shortages from the African talent pools, then please do get in contact with us, because the Match project can be a solution to your recruitment and diversity needs. So with that, thank you very much, and please tune in to our next installment next month.